been that great. So I hope this video, I hope there's no issues with that. But anyway, a lot to talk about. Yesterday, I was thinking about doing a video, decided not to because I was doing so much research, so much reading, and looking at videos, and then I got into Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson's video podcast that they recently did. So interesting. I'm almost done. It's over 3 hours long, and of course I have to like stop during certain portions and go on these rabbit holes and things like that. But it was very interesting. And like I've said before, I don't think that Sean Ryan is a plant or a deep state operative or anything like that. But I do firmly believe, and I'll say this: he's had people on his show that are part of the deep state, that are intentionally going on his show and sharing a lot of good information, but also misleading people and giving incorrect information. That's further continuing on the propaganda and the psychological operations. And there's one guy he had on, I forget what his name is, but he was a veteran and he's doing great work exposing a lot of truth. And I had made a comment because on the Sean Ryan Instagram page, they had posted a clip of it. And I was essentially saying that, you need more guests like this on. And I was saying that there are people that are paid propagandists that are going on his show and lying to him. And I think he took it personally. And I'm like, reread it. Basically, it was a very respectful conversation. He's a Christ believer, etc. And I'm like that was meant to say I was complimenting you. But anyways, because it just came across as such, I ended up deleting the post because, I mean, if he took it the wrong way, maybe other people would. But what I meant was like, you get more people like him on, and respectfully, not people like Stephen Greer and others who are very smart, of service, a lot of like an incredible resume, but are lying about certain things that I think are very important. And then the people he has on that allege that they've actually astrally projected to Saturn and all these other things, and people talking about, anyways, other civilizations and colonies from outer space and aliens and things like that. And so I would love to go on his show. And so the only way that can happen is if more people reach out to him and either tag my social media or give him my name and my social media handle. And I guess if enough people reach out to him, then he'll take it seriously. But I mean, even if I'm not on a podcast with him, I would love to have a conversation with him about multiple different things. And I would bring the receipts because, again, I do think that he's coming from a good place. And I'll just keep it at that. So, yeah, very interesting conversation. But anyways, where to start? I'll start with my social media. And then I'll get into my Moose on the Loose video because he covers a lot of good points. And then I'll get into Grok and Gemini conversations that I had regarding Christianity, regarding Judaism, regarding King David and comparisons of David and Jesus Christ, and the reasons why there are people that believe that prophecy has already been fulfilled, and other people believe that another Messiah separately is returning to earth or coming to earth, not returning to earth. And there are other people that believe that Jesus Christ is in fact returning to earth. And before that, there'll be a 7-year tribulation, like we've talked about before. And, there'll be like a temple in Jerusalem that will be impacted and ruled over, and Israel. And after 3.5 years of this person's rulership, because apparently it's supposed to be some kind of a human that's possessed by evil. After 3.5 years, it'll become known. There'll be an attack against Christianity, and like on larger scales, and then this like new world order being further ushered in. And then after the 7-year period, so 3.5 years after that, would be when Jesus Christ allegedly returns and then defeats the Antichrist and Satan and the evildoers of the world, and there's like a fiery pit of hell, et cetera, that people are thrown into, or sorry, a fiery river. And so anyways, but that will be after this, because right now there's more information coming out, more in the U.S. I'm so upset that in Canada, a lot of the trials, the hearings, the lawsuits against people within government, or that were kicked out by the government, lawsuits that were brought to the justice system, they were dismissed, multiple dismissed, and even with the lawyer that was representing veterans and people from law enforcement, et cetera, that during COVID refused the inoculation or were injured by the inoculation, or suffered extreme measures by their supervisors, et cetera, that they weren't represented well. So there was one lawyer likely in over her head, not a lot of support. And but what was coordinated and what was supposed to be discussed during the hearings were not. And again, it looked sort of like a clown court, and then it looked unprofessional. Apparently, this is people that were on the case itself and have now given up, or just like in limbo, waiting for more traction or more updates on other court hearings. But again, a lot have been dismissed, and there are people that were even peaceful during the protests and during the lockdowns that were charges were dropped, or they were dismissed, or there was like an absolute discharge, or conditional discharges. But did the Crown like that? No. So there's the Crown that's like again going after people again, appealing so that they can have harsher crimes. It's just absolutely disgusting to me. And so again, people should be sued. It's the only way that there's going to be any kind of policy change. And even with the Mexican mass tort that I've been involved in since at least 2018 timeframe, we are still waiting for a time in the court. And this was not for money. This was because there were forced inoculations on people, and these were already banned in other first world countries, and then sold to Canadians, and then on Canadian Armed Forces members. And if they refused to take the mefloquine, the pills, then they were deemed unoperational, like not operationally ready, and not dagged green. And so this was the same thing happened with the COVID inoculation. This was not a vaccine. This was still authorized under emergency use, even by the FDA. And there's people that were spokespeople for the FDA, people that worked within the FDA that have been speaking out on the extreme measures and gain of function and the side effects that were buried. Anyway, so Gavin DeBecker just broke down on Joe Rogan the realities of polio that almost nobody knows. But here's the reality of polio. Right from the CDC website, 99% of people who get polio never have any symptoms. The typical symptom is having cold. Anyways, he's going to talk about it, but cold for a week. Number of deaths last year from polio, 0. Number of polio cases of the real terrible outcomes, paralysis, 500 on the planet Earth, half of whom recovered. In 2022, 97% of them were vaccine-induced poliomyelitis, meaning they were the strain from the vaccine. And I've said this, like at the polio cases we've seen, largely are via inoculation. And people are saying that, oh, people are not getting the polio shots, oh, like all this other stuff. There's contributing factors to people having adverse reactions to any disease or illness or injury, even a cut. And it's based on their level of health overall. And if you're overweight and you have comorbid conditions and you have diabetes and you have heart disease, et cetera, or you don't work out and you drink and you smoke, et cetera, well, you're going to have more adverse reactions because you're already chronically inflamed. You're already going to have further adverse reactions to get even the flu, and longer recovery periods, more of a chance of infection, et cetera.
It is another one of these.
Hey, oh my freaking! Wow. Wow, I have to start over because I've been on mute the entire time, 8 minutes in, and it's never been on before. It's not even from my social media. It's from my actual computer. So anyways, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to do it again.